Yeah, I'm Jason Zada. So top one is Zada, bottom one is Nickel. It just shows on the screen that we're Jason and Jason, but it's easier. So Zada top, Nickel bottom. We created Take This Lollipop in 2011, and we'll go through sort of the history of the previous version and then the new version that tackles a lot of the bigger sort of topics of today with deep fake and all that sort of stuff. But first, I just wanted to know who just generally who our audiences are. Like, is anybody want to offer up any, like, are we like, who are you? So we can tailor our, like, what does anybody do if anybody wants to offer it up, just so we could tailor it, or we'll just get started if anybody wants to not offer it up. Then I'm just curious. So content officer, fashion brand, cool, good. There you go. Live theater. This has a little bit of that. That's cool. Anyone else? Okay. Shy. Visual designer. Cool. Great. Well, we'll get started. So first off, we created this thing called Take This Lollipop in 2011. It was a screenwriter. Cool. We are, when we first did Take This Lollipop, and I'll show the case study in a second, it was done very quickly. There wasn't really a plan. I had this crazy idea. I pitched it to Jason Nickel, who's on the tech side. I'm on the sort of, live action directing side, and said, could we do this? Is it possible? We did it very quickly. We didn't really expect to have happen what happened. So I'll just show you the case study really quickly.
Oh, you might have to share your audio. So I don't think it's coming through. There we go.
Did the audio come through? No. I think I got to do.
Come through your mic. I think, you got to click that share audio setting when you share your screen, I think.
Okay, hold on. I screwed up. Let me do that one more time. See, that's why.
In the rehearsal.
That's why you're the tech guy and I'm the non. All right, here we go again. Sorry.
Cool.
Hopefully you could hear it this time.
Yeah, perfect.
So my friend told me about this thing called Take This Lollipop.
Apparently it's like so creepy and like everybody freaked out.
My friend told me to do this thing called Take This Lollipop.
It's creepy and like kind of awakening.
All my friends are telling me to click on this lollipop thing.
And apparently it's the scariest app on Facebook right now.
It's just really cool how they did it, and it works with anybody, and it shares like your personal stuff.
I don't normally connect with applications and share my stuff.
I'm curious because I want to see what it is, but I also don't want to die. So with me, I have my brother next to me because I can't do this alone.
You guys will see why I'm freaking out if you watch this.
Facebook users are getting an early fright through a new viral video called Take This Lollipop. Its point, how much do you reveal on your account, and do you know who's reading it?
No way.
Oh my god!
Yo, they got my oh my god.
Oh my god!
I never put my address on there. How do you know?
Dude, that's my profile picture. Dude!
If some dude pulls up to my house in the next hour, I'm gonna pee myself.
That was scary.
That is the creepiest thing.
My hands are shaking. Don't take the lollipop, please. Don't take it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it.
This video did it. Whoa.
You're muted, I think. There you go. Yeah, love that.
Keep it coming. Just keep going. Okay, stop. All right. The first one used Flash. Nick, I don't know if you want to talk about kind of the technology behind it.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So that was back in the days of Flash. If anyone even remembers that, it's officially dead now. But that was using real-time compositing in the browser. So everything that happened there, where we're overlaying the Facebook information, your Facebook profile essentially on the computer screen, and he's touching the screen, and you got photos of your kids and your friends and stuff like that. That was all happening in the browser in real time using Flash. And it was one of the first. It was back when Facebook allowed you to pull in any information from your profile and anyone you were connected with. It's kind of like the Wild West of sharing that data. People didn't care about sharing that data, and then they didn't really know that they were even sharing all that stuff. So if I went on there, it could get all my friends and their photos and all that kind of stuff. So since then, I just took a little screenshot here of what they've done since then. They've really locked things down over the past 10 years just because of all the privacy concerns and new legislations that they have in place now. You really can't grab any of that stuff anymore. So you can kind of pull in the different personalization points from your photos that you have, your name still, but location is locked down. Any information about your friends is all locked down. So it's kind of hard to like recreate that same experience in this new day and age. So Jason's going to share the next one here soon, but that's kind of the evolution of where we went with this last version to the new version. We were kicking around ideas. I'll let Jason speak to this a bit more, but kicking around ideas in the same way of how do we personalize this stuff? What kind of information can we pull from using their social media? And things have just changed a lot. So we kind of had ways of doing it.
Yeah, just to say that when everything did change, the original Lollipop was just kind of broken. It was a horrible experience. So we took it offline in 2019, and had plans to do another version of this at some point, but couldn't find the right idea. And it took basically a pandemic to happen for us to say, okay, now is the right time, and now we have sort of the right idea, because all people's behaviors transformed almost overnight when lockdowns went into place. And all of a sudden, since people weren't able to go out and meet with people were doing what we're doing right now, which is turning on their webcams and talking to each other. Before that, previously, like I live outside of San Francisco. I would have to fly down to LA for a 1-hour meeting with somebody, because nobody would ever dare use video cams to communicate with each other. So now, once all this behavior changed, we sort of said, okay, now is a kind of an interesting time to think about doing something with it. So I'm going to play the case study for what we did and what we happened. Then we'll talk about it and show you how we did it.
Hey guys, so it's like Halloween in 2 days, and I saw this game called Lollipop, and it's supposed to I'm already freaking myself out.
I guess I'm gonna try that little lollipop thing that everyone's been doing.
The game is called Lollipop.
Take this lollipop.
Take this lollipop.
And I am thoroughly terrified.
I think it's supposed to scare you. I seen it on TikTok.
So this game is called Take This Lollipop. It is some sort of Zoom type horror game.
This is a social webcam enabled experience. Don't be shy, it's only a game.
Enable your webcam.
Allow.
Whoa, okay.
Connecting.
No. Oh.
Hello.
Hey.
Hi.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They're real people?
Oh god, I don't know if I can do this, guys.
I just got a text of a picture of me from my webcam.
What the? Wait, is there somebody in your house?
There's something over there.
There's something.
God.
It's not letting me on my computer, and
Look at your phone.
okay, they're in my phone.
No, don't look at me like that.
There's something behind you.
Oh shit!
Oh, hell no. Bro, I'm shaking.
They know where I am. Oh my god. No. That is bad.
Connecting.
My name is Alex.
What?
My name is Alex. My name. My name.
You're using my identity.
My name is Alex. It's Alex.
That's not me.
Who wants to play lollipop?
So that was that's what we did for the second one. It launched in October. It funny story. We basically launched it, and for the first week, while the first lollipop took off and went crazy overnight, the first week of this, we had barely anyone. I mean, I say barely anyone. We had under 1 million people go to it in the first week, and we were like, okay, did we, not do this right? Did we think that people would turn on their webcams and they wouldn't? And we started to like really second guess what, the concept that we had created. We're like, we don't know if people are really going to turn on their webcams and do this. And then all of a sudden, I started getting these messages, and it looked like that it just started to explode on TikTok. So all these younger generation of kids started going through the site and then videotaping their experiences, and that's what made it go bonkers viral again. So we weren't sure if you could actually do the same property viral twice, but it ended up being something that happened. And I think that it really comes back to this idea that we all had got very used to turning on our webcam, something that, basically 6 months prior was not something a lot of people did. Phone calls, everything that was a phone call became a Zoom call, and it was like this very different change in behavior. I'll pass off to you, Nicole.
Yeah, just backing up a tiny bit, we had a lot of success over the years from that first one, and like Jason was saying, we didn't really know what to expect, and it took off, became the fastest growing Facebook app of all time, and we even ended up winning an Emmy for it. And so over the past 9 years, I guess, we'd always kicked around ideas of doing the next version, but never kind of got around to doing it. And just always something would come up, or we just didn't have the idea that would replicate that success. But like Jason's saying, yeah, we kind of were wondering if this thing was not hitting like the first one, but then all of a sudden it did. So we were onto something. And that process of coming up with this next version really relied around that the Zoom call interface and like pulling from a webcam. So unlike the first one where you pulled in information from your Facebook profile, pulling your name, location, your profile photo and friends photos, we were getting into this new deepfake stuff. So yeah, here's this new Tom Cruise deepfake that came out, I think last week or 2 weeks ago. And the guy doing this is awesome. He's just got all his mannerisms down. It's pretty funny, but he's trying to show off how easy it is to look like Tom Cruise or someone else. So this just came out, but over the past, I guess 3 months leading up to October when we did this last year, all that technology was just evolving. and kind of coming from this thing called Deep Face Labs here, which is this screenshot here. So this is like an offline processing of doing deepfakes, and you've got Kevin Spacey there and Putin, and you've got all your regular stuff. Everyone's testing this out with Trump and Obama, Tom Cruise, just because there's so much information there needed to train these deepfakes. So this one was done with an offline version, which takes like a few hours to actually do it at the very quickest. So we looked at doing that in real time for the story, but it just wasn't going to be processed fast enough, and the quality wasn't going to be good enough. You had lighting issues with webcams, and we just wanted to make sure that whatever experience we did, we hit on really good quality, really good experience, something that's compelling. So we kind of built the story around a little bit of this and a little bit of that interactive Zoom call. So we're faking up the chat window, and we actually did use a deepfake artist to mock up the character Bill there at the end. So that was done using an offline system, probably this Deep Face Lab. I don't know, Jason, if you want to speak to that at all.
Yeah, he is Deep Face Lab. It's pretty much standard these days as far as being able to do it. But the problem is that the processing time to do real deepfakes at a good enough quality it takes a long time. There's a couple apps that you could download on your phone. They send it to a server. It comes back fairly quickly, but the resolution is really small. And we were in sort of full HD, and it had to happen kind of simultaneously as you're watching the experience. Like we capture you in the beginning, and then we're sort of doing the lip sync deep fake as you're watching. So if you look at this was like a reporter did this. Play it real quick so you can see it.
Connecting.
This is the very end of the experience.
That's weird.
What is this?
My name is Alex. Who wants to play lollipop?
Disconnecting.
So a couple of things to touch on. We used I'll let Nickel talk about the technology about how we deepfaked you at the end, but there's also something interesting that we'll touch upon it, that we were trying to create a business model for this because our server costs were through the roof. So I'll let you take it, Nickel.
Yeah, so that's at the end there, and the guy on the left here in this screenshot was the participant. The rest were the actors. And so when he connects, we detect your face at the beginning and make sure that you have your face in there. It's kind of similar to other applications to make sure that you're a real person when you go in there, like Omegle. And so then we sent that to the server and processed that. So then his mouth moves using our deep fake stuff to put our Bill character's voice as his. So everyone got freaked out there because it kind of bookends a little bit of the beginning of it. And so, the big deal here was create a solution that allowed us to do this for the budget that we had, which was pretty much $0. We didn't have a sponsor here, so we were using the numbers that we had from the original Lollipop, where we had hitting like 6 million users in a day, getting up to like 60 million and I don't know, 300 million. So we had to figure out how far we could take this with the budget that we had. It was going to cost hundreds of thousands of dollars, no matter what, just for the bandwidth server costs alone and serving the
server fees or
videos. So we ended up using this lip sync functionality that we created. We're running it on AWS using CloudFront to serve everything up, so it was super quick. Wasn't the cheapest thing. We had to negotiate a bandwidth deal to lower our cost for that, just because we're getting so much traffic. And then we were using GPU instances on AWS as well to render that as fast as you can, so that you get your video back before this video experience is done.
Yeah, because it has to be attached onto the end. But I think in order to do that, we kept trying to figure out like what could we do to offset the costs. You know, like if this thing went mega viral, and by the way, those numbers in the case study, it's now about up to 250 million people have seen it across all different sort of media channels. We have about 90 plus, I think we're over 100 million on the website. TikTok is about 90 million. And then all the YouTubers went, and all the gaming YouTubers went and did it. And every time they did it, you know, 4 or 5 million views of their video, and then more people did it. So the server costs were quite big. So we offered people a way to purchase it at the end. And that was you know, we were trying to figure out, like, if we did a customized version where it said starring you and you could download it as like a film, could that work? And it kind of did, but you know, we kind of, it just, the server cost kept going, it kept rising and kept rising. So yeah, it was something that we eventually had to figure out. I'll get to that in a second, but Nick,
Yeah,
I don't know
touch on
the techniques.
Just the other personalization points here. So this little animation here. So we still pulled in their location, which is a great technique to surprise people. So here you can see it's Bell Gardens, California. And we were pulling that in using their IP. We faked up their credit card number, but people thought that was all, well, their location was real. The credit card number wasn't real. And it just freaked everyone out because they didn't know you could do this. A lot of people don't know you can pull that information from anyone's computer. So we put that into what looked like it was a hacking scene. Looked like it was just something that they weren't expecting here. It just kind of escalated more and more by the end. Down the bottom right, we had a chat window that you could interact with the characters, and depending on what you would type in, they would respond to that. They would use your name in there, and then eventually the cursor looks like it's going crazy, and just kind of all added up to an escalating horror effect here of not knowing what's going to happen. And then if you want to go to the next one there, this was one of the other techniques. And this is, you know, we took about 4 weeks, which is hard to believe, to do all this. Like we were saying before, we weren't sure over the years if we were going to do another version of this. And then we just started jamming on these ideas. And so for this one, we had the character come behind you as one of the technical ideas here. So I'm wearing my COVID scarf there around my neck, which looks a bit weird, but so we use this body segmentation effect in the browser in real time using TensorFlow.js. And so it is pretty brand new technology. It's an AI trained model to detect where a person's body is. It's all trained on different body features. And so just create a mask. It's like the Google background masking feature pretty much. And so we had that video in there and it freaked everyone out. People would be looking behind them to see what that was because they're thinking that the character is going to come get them in the next scene. So all this came together pretty quickly, and that's my go-to move there, yeah. And it's
I mean, the weird thing is like how many versions of that we tried in order to figure out a way of having it feel like the person that you saw in the previous opening of the video is coming for you in a way that isn't super processor intensive, but yet also is like, you know, kind of, is it supernatural? Is it in the data? All these sort of things. So we do try to, this is probably the thing. I think we finally ended up on this, like literally the night before we were about to launch it.
Yeah, we weren't sure how this would turn out, but yeah, because we had so much other stuff going on too. Like we weren't sure if this would show up. We had a fainter version and everything, and it worked really well actually with the timing of all the cuts and everything. It was great.
So that kind of brings us to this year. Now, server costs were escalating pretty high, and Jason and I were like, okay, this is a hobby, not a full-time job, and we can't afford to keep this afloat. So we said, what if we were to create sort of a new sort of type of business model where it's sort of like a pay-per-view business model, and you were able to get a bunch of views of the video, or not a bunch, up to three full views of the video for, you know, we tried out 99 cents, and we were doing a bunch of sales for that. And then we just decided that Stripe basically takes 33 cents of that. So we had to up the cost a little bit. So now it's at 149. And when we did that, we launched this little trailer. I'll play real quick. Oh man, sound stuff. Hold on.
Your Facebook. Now he's going. In 2011, he stalked your Facebook. Now he's going to become you. Experience the viral phenomenon Lollipop, an interactive film that uses your webcam to blur the lines of reality, putting you in a real-life horror film. Purchase a ticket, and you'll receive a link that allows you to instantly experience Lollipop up to 3 times. Now get ready for the ultimate interactive horror game, Lollipop. Be confident that your purchase is 100% safe and secure.
Hi.
Hi.
So, people really, you know, it's the funny thing too. People really thought that it was real sometimes, and other people just, they played along with it, almost like role playing, you know, to a degree, where they knew it wasn't real, but they played along with it. And what was really great about this is that, you know, the word of mouth is what really propelled it to be as successful and seen as it was. So we weren't sure if we put a big pay gate there, you know, before it, are people going to do it? And we've had a reasonable amount of success with people purchasing it. There are younger kids that were going through it that don't have access to credit cards and this and that. So it's a bummer that they don't get to see it. We might make it free for a week here or a week there from time to time, and this and that. But it, as of right now, it's a great sort of way for us to manage the overall costs of what it costs to do, because it's, you know, when you start doing these things where it needs massive cloud rendering stuff on very fast computers, it gets expensive. So that's that. Nickel, do you want to add anything else to?
Oh, I was just reminded that with the kids, they're even like taking their parents' credit cards to try to get in there. Came up a few times.
Our returns, yes.
Yeah. But no, it's had great traction, and just that balance of kind of slowing down the free uses, balancing that out with paid uses. It's just helping cover those costs. So before it was getting way too expensive. We had a lot more traffic. Traffic dropped off by, I don't know if it's like down to a quarter or something like that. It's still quite a bit, but it was just a free for all before when it's free.
Yeah, and the question from Todd, do we ever consider a donation model? It's funny, we talked about like a Patreon level sort of thing that we wanted to do. I think the problem with us is that we needed a stopgate that didn't just allow everybody to keep going, because just, you got to think about it this way, like every time somebody viewed it, it would just cost us money. So we had to come up with a way of like putting a stop on it, but yet let it keep going forward. But it's funny, it was something that we talked a lot about, because I feel like if there was a way to sustain that would be probably one of the better models to do, you know, the donation model or the tipping model, where, you know, if people who didn't have the money could be balanced out by some people that did want to pay for it, that'd be great. It's just, you know, when we're looking at daily server costs usage, and it starts adding up over time, it was kind of crazy. I'm gonna go through a couple more things that we wanted to talk about real quick, and then I'd love to just have this be a discussion and dialogue. But, you know, one thing that this whole thing something that Jason, Nickel, and we've been working together for over, like, I think about 12 years now. And we've done a lot of very innovative things with sort of, I guess, metaversey type of things where we're sort of playing in a lot of the different things. So one thing that sort of we wanted to do, well, that we naturally do with a lot of the projects, but something that like Lollipop touches on are just a couple of these different types of things where, you know, this to me, I feel like this is the future of storytelling. It's going to have a lot of these different pieces into it. So like live streaming, on demand, always on, that whole thing that we're kind of embarking on, where like everybody has all these streaming networks now, we're all watching lots of content. There was an element to Lollipop that felt live. Virtual, you know, this is going to be another big, huge part. It already is a part of storytelling that we're getting into, which is open worlds, growing worlds, and sort of social worlds, and the metaverse layer on top of our world. I just did a big concert with Post Malone in a Pokemon world for Pokemon's 25th anniversary. So that it's the virtual world thing is very, I think, huge right now, just in terms of like, I think Roblox going public today. It's a big thing. And then intelligence, like AI, deepfakes, machine learning, avatars is something that, you know, we put into Lollipop. Like the chat bot was intelligent. It could, you know, a person in the chat knew your location. If you said it, they knew your name. They would, you know, so there was a level of intelligence there. And then, you know, I think for us, we've always been developing entertainment that is inherently has one or more of these three things, which is, you know, the interactivity, gamification, branching narratives, personalized things. Jason Nickel has a whole company built off the original Lollipop, which was all personalized entertainment, where you could personalize any piece of video in After Effects looking perfect style, and put it into reality. And then sort of the immersion side of it, you know, augmented reality. I know someone had said that, Roger said that in AR, VR, all that sort of stuff, you know, video games have been sort of historically the biggest immersion thing that mass amounts of people could do. Virtual reality closely behind. Augmented reality is going to be massive over the next few years. But something that we've built into a lot of the project that we do, and all these are pulled from different projects that either I've done or we've done. And social, it was a big part of a lot of the things that we do, where things are naturally shareable. They're either multi-user or collaborative. This right here is from a project called David on Demand, and then we did another one right after it called Remote Control Tourist, where the audience got to control a real live person. I just read an article today that there's a new company that lets you control virtual influencers for like NFT tokens. So it's like a lot of this stuff is going on, and it's really cool. So, anyways, that's kind of the bulk of what we wanted to talk about today. Would love questions or comments or any open dialogue. Feel free. We're here to chat. Or you could just stare at us. Either one. That doesn't matter. Whichever. Timothy said, are you in contact with media literacy educators who would like to use your creation to ignite conversation about the issues of deepfake privacies? Well, no, not yet, but funny story. When we took Lollipop, the first version of Lollipop offline, I received a really frightening email in my inbox. It basically said it's from the FBI. And it was the CIA. I can't remember, either one. But if you get an email from them in your inbox, it's probably not a good thing. But it turned out it was a good thing. They had actually used Lollipop as a teaching tool within, I believe it was the FBI's like cyber, sort of security unit, and they would always use it as a teaching exercise. So, one of the things that I think that the first Lollipop did that we didn't really expect it to do, which was raise the conversation of privacy. And that was just like something that I think we just wanted to freak people out during Halloween, but it became a really big talking point. Like when CNN did an article on it, the focus of the article was, you know, how much information are you sharing online, and are you safe? So it did start a dialogue about this, and I think that it's something that it has become. I mean, I'll just say personally, and Nicole, you could answer the same question, but personally, I feel like all the information. I mean, we've done enough research on this. There's so much information about us online already that anyone could access. So security and privacy and all that sort of stuff is a weird subject matter, but the blurring the lines with I think deep faking and stuff like that is a huge topic right now that's not going to go away. It's only going to get better and easier, and I think we haven't seen the super evil villain sinister version of it yet, but it's coming.
Yeah, and I think a lot of this is a lot of fun for kids on TikTok. Like they go on there and put up whatever they want because it's fun, and they get views and likes and all that kind of stuff, which is great. And same thing with the first version, when people were sharing everything on Facebook. So it's fun for a lot of people, but then the news outlets and people that can see the bigger picture they start to frame it up in that warning kind of way. And that's where you get that perspective, you know. So the people using this stuff think it's fun and neat and interesting. They don't really care about their privacy too much or as much, but then there are the people that know that it is a bigger deal, and then they can frame it up in that way and read it for what it actually is.
Yeah.
It was, you know, the CIA or FBI, whatever. But I hear people now coming back saying, hey, you know, my teacher showed me this in school. And so like it was used by a lot of people in classrooms all over as like the warning of like what you're doing, what you're sharing online. I use it with my daughter. Anytime she forgot, like I showed it to her when she was really young, and then I catch her sharing stuff on TikTok or whatever. I'm like, I thought I showed you this. You shouldn't be sharing stuff with Omegle or whatever it's called. That's like the worst. Yeah.
Cool. I don't want to say your name wrong. Is it Jesse or help me with how to pronounce your name, just so I don't say it wrong. You could type it if you don't want to talk. But, anyways, so could you talk more about the creative process? Yeah, real. UC. Okay. Well, that was good. Real quick. So I don't want to, I want to answer a couple more of these. So creative process, most of the time it's really just about what's an interesting story, and what's the most interesting way to tell that story. I think a lot of people, like, they want to play in a specific medium. They say, okay, I want to do something in VR, and they'll try to think of an idea for VR. And I try to approach things totally differently, where it's never about the technology, but it's about the story. So I look at storytelling and the narrative first, and then it becomes what's the most interesting way of telling that story. So when it came to the original the original Lollipop, I wanted to create a really scary horror film, and we said, okay, what's very right now when people sharing information? What if some guy, you know, hacked your Facebook? What if we could do that? So it became the challenge, the technical challenge. I've always married filmmaking and technology with the work that I do. So I never lead with the technology, but lead with narrative is the easy answer. Let's see here. Yeah, totally familiar with Chris Ume's work. He's actually, we chatted with him early on when we were interviewing people to help us with deepfakes. We had no idea what we were doing, and we had 4 weeks to do it. We had to figure it out very quickly. Do you have plans to work in VR? Yes, I've worked extensively. I'll put my URL here. You guys could check this out. Done a bunch of work in VR. The first thing I did in VR was with honeybees. We shrank you down to the size of a bee, and you got to learn about what would happen if the honeybees disappeared. And then another one was a ride that I did for Toyota. Let's see. Any other questions before we get kicked out of here that anybody has? Did I get everything? I just want to make sure I got everything. Oh, what Lucas said. What do you work on next? It's a good question. I can't talk about anything I'm working on right now, which sucks because it's all really fun stuff. But like the Pokemon Post Malone concert, I was working on for 8 months during the pandemic, and I couldn't say one word about it until they finally announced it. So I am working on a big virtual concert. Nickel and I, we do a lot of this type of work together. So we're doing more of this type of stuff in those different things that I had talked about previously, those different sort of buckets of things. And tech field, I would say tech is more just always love emerging, you know, anything that feels like it's now. So I'm doing a lot of stuff in the virtual influencer space and virtual being space, virtual world space, sort of really focusing on entertainment for, you know, it's an old term, but the metaverse, you know, basically this overlay of worlds that we're building on top of ours, and then more lollipops and things like that. What are you working on, Nickel?
Yeah, from the tech standpoint, we're continuing to explore more deepfake stuff, GAN-driven AI, and the GPT-3 stuff, OpenAI.com. It's the latest crazy AI that's like 1.5 trillion data points and stuff like that. So you can do really cool natural language processing, NLP. So it's like you can generate or have a conversation with an avatar potentially. Really like realistic conversation.
Cool. What's one last question? Privacy.
Yeah, like when we did this and we thought, it's people are inhibited to turn on their webcam. We kind of went for it because people already do that, and we knew that it would take just a few people to convince their friends to turn on the webcam for this. But that was a bit of a barrier to entry. Also, we did do this for desktop first because there were less restrictions on using webcam, and then since then, over the past like couple months, they actually added some features for doing it on your iPhone or Android device. So before, like up until a few months ago, you can actually capture that kind of video in a web browser to process it. So that's pretty much brand new.
But as far as the privacy thing, I mean, we made sure, just like the first one, that we weren't capturing anybody's data, we weren't stealing anything. Really, the whole experience is super safe and secure. Like I sent it to a journalist, and they're like, "Are you videotaping me? Am I going to be videotaped without my knowledge?" And I was like, "Well, technically yes, but we don't save that unless you want us to. No one else sees it. It's extremely private. If you want it to be private, kids on TikTok did not want privacy. They just put it all up there, and that's what made it viral. So I think there's a big discrepancy from older generation people who, and I mean anyone over the age of 18, as far as older, and younger kids that like Nickel is saying, just put up everything, you know, and there's no filter. So yeah, anyways, I know we're out of time, so thank you guys.
Yeah, thanks very much
for having us. Thanks for all the great questions. Yeah, thank you.
Cool.
Well, thanks
a lot.